Hey guys, I'm having some major issues with my phone. I am trying to record videos on just a cheapy phone, and I know it's not very good quality for you guys, but the whole idea of this channel was not to become internet famous, which it would be nice because who doesn't want to be internet famous? I am in hopes to, somewhere out there, I know there's a homesteader just like us who from scratch has no idea where to go with anything. And they're trying to make a go at being self-sufficient. That's our goal. And there's a lot of resources out there, but a lot of them are kind of hit and miss. I mean, it's depends on your situation. There's people out there that had the money to purchase property. There's people out there that have the money for solar panels. There's people out there that work for a living, and my circumstances aren't that I can't work. It's not that I won't work. It's a lot of other issues that hopefully one day I can open up to you guys. But in the meantime, here we are. I've decided to try to live it. I took 2 videos yesterday and attempted the chickens, and for some reason, neither one of them would load. So we're gonna try the live thing and see how it works. That's why I put a little question mark next to the video 4, because trying to organize them so you guys can go day by day and watch each video in order of how far we've come. Hopefully 4 years from now, I'm still doing these videos. We're completely self-sufficient. We have the solar panels and everything is on cue. And that's my goal. But for today, now that I've cleared that up, I'm running late in my chores. We just got the girls off to school. I wasn't anticipating them having school today because it's still really slick outside, but they've missed 8 days in a row. Not that they've missed, they just haven't had school. So mom is ready for them to go back to school. Next year, we're contemplating homeschooling, which is probably going to be on the agenda, but for today, I need to get things done around the house. These are our girls and boy. We have Sue right here. It was supposed to be, I knew she was a boy in the beginning, but we named her Sue because they all have little old lady names. We have Sue, and the other white one over here is Edith. They are boyfriend and girlfriend. They love each other very, very much. You'll see. Don't mind my pile of junk in the background. That's insulation we're trying to save. Not putting back in the house, but we know at some point we're going to need insulation somewhere. We tore it out of the house. There's nothing wrong with it. We just wanted the open ceilings, so we're storing it there. We have this black one right here. She is a black sex link. Her name is Willow. My son named her, and we weren't sure if it was Widow or Willow. So she's Willow. Then we have down here, if you can see her, the Rhode Island Red. Her name is Red. We have another Rhode Island Red over there, and her name is Gail. I named her after my mother-in-law because she's a noisemaker. Love you, Grandma, or love you, Gail. And then we have Hedwig, is the black sex link with the orange head. And then over here we have our Wyandotte, Heather, and our other Wyandotte over here. I don't remember, Veronica. My kids named my chickens. So that's the girls. We have 2 Cornish cross, which are meat chickens. When we started out, we got the Cornish crosses. Well, we thought they were the Leghorns, I think they're called. All we knew is they were meat chickens, so we bought them. That's how we ended up with Sue, is we didn't really care if she was a female or a male. So we just grabbed 2 of the biggest white ones they had. They have been really, really healthy. The only thing about the Cornish crosses is they're lazy. I don't mean to hurt their feelings, but they're lazy and they're big, so they're dirty. They like to lay down in the pen a lot. I didn't know Cornish crosses needed the amount of maintenance that they need. They actually need their own place. They need their own pens. They have to be cleaned out all the time. They get sores underneath them. Not so bad if you're raising them for 8 weeks, which is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to raise them for 8 weeks and then butcher them. These guys are going on 8 months old because we were hoping they would mate and that Edith would give us some eggs that we could incubate, which we don't have an incubator. Again, when you're starting a homestead, you're just apt to get in there one step at a time without, I mean, we didn't have the acreage when we got these guys. We had 1 acre in town. We didn't have a chicken coop. We started them off in a tote that you can get from Walmart. And with the food and waters, I think altogether it was like $80 with food for the 4 of them. 2 weeks later, I got the other 4 on sale for $1 a piece. So of course I Skyped them up, and thank God I did, because we would only have 2 eggs a day. Right now, I don't know what we're doing, you guys. Everybody keeps asking me, because apparently in northern Michigan, chickens rarely ever lay eggs. My girls are laying. I get 6 to 7 eggs a day. Someone's obviously laying 2 eggs, because obviously Sue can't lay because he's a rooster. And Edith, I know for sure, is not laying because she does not get up in the coops. All I do is I make sure that I come out 3 times a day. We make sure they have water, fresh water all the time. And that they use a lot of people are going to yell at me, but this is me. This is coming from what I have to deal with. We don't have a whole lot of extra income. So we go off of the regular pellet. We do crushed pellets and corn from Tractor Supply. All honesty, I'm not getting any money from Tractor Supply. I'm not getting money from anyone. I'm just trying to show you guys what we do. Right now I have layers. So this is the stuff that we use. I know it's not the best. We can't classify our eggs as being organic because, we just want farm chicken eggs. That's all we want for right now. Eventually, when we're starting to make a little bit more money off of them, we'll go off the more expensive feed. I haven't price pointed any of it. This is just free, or it's not free. It's accessible to me. I can go right into the store and I can grab a bag of this. I don't have to do my research. I know what it is. I give it to them. They're getting 16%. Honestly, I'd rather they had 17%. And they get crushed corn. You're not supposed to give chicken whole kernel corn because they could choke on it. We've always done the crushed corn. They get 1 handful because I have such a small herd of chickens right now. We do 1 handful like in the morning, and we'll do another one at night if it's cold, because corn is like a dessert. It doesn't really have any nutritional value. It keeps them warm. It also makes them very fat. So that was the problem we were having with our Cornish crosses, the big white chickens, is they got so big, y'all, that they couldn't walk. That it was really sad. I felt so bad for getting them that way. I didn't know. I didn't know. We assumed they were the Leghorns. We couldn't understand why their legs were so fat. See if I can show you Susan's legs. His legs are about the size of my thumb. They're big. They're beastie. But we didn't know. With those types of chickens, I've done my research now, when you get them as babies, you're supposed to start them on 12 on, 12 off. So you let them eat as much as they want to eat for 12 hours, and then the other 12 hours you take it away. If you put food in front of these guys, they literally will eat the entire bucket. They will not stop eating. These girls, they stop eating when they're full. They love to forage. We leave that door open. We leave that door open so they can freely get in and out to forage if they want. Not saying they don't like the crumble. I lost my coffee can. I'm coming, hang on, I'm coming. Yesterday it was warm. It was in the 40s. So I fed them in the morning about 8 o'clock, and then I came out again at 2. Both times I did videos. They still had food in their bucket at 2. So I fed them again at 2, so I figured that'd be their dinner serving. And they'll tell you when they're done. Where's your food? What'd I do with it? Did I carry it in here? So sorry. These guys are so fun to sit and watch. She's ready for her food. This is Hedwig. She's the boss. Red was the boss, but Hedwig took over. And I usually do, for my 8 chickens, they're supposed to do 1/4 cup apiece For 8 chickens, that would be 2 cups. And that's about what I have in there, maybe a little bit more because it's winter. And it depends on who you talk to too, because there's some people that say in the winter, your chicken should have a half a cup because they need to get more meat on them to keep them warm. I say just look at your chickens. If they're acting like they're a little bit lazier, they're not wanting to go. What are you doing? You cannot eat that. Come on. You silly bird. Say hi. You say hi? Your food's in here. Ugh. I say just look at your birds. If your birds look like they're plumping out and they're getting a little bit lazy, cut back a little bit on the food. I do a quarter of a cup in the morning. I'll do a quarter of a cup at night for each bird. So they do about 2 cups in the morning, 2 cups in the afternoon. I'll decide whether they have food in the afternoon if they eat dinner. They'll get a handful. Between all 8 of them, I'll give them a handful of the crushed corn. And at night, we'll do another handful before they go to bed. The door's open, they forage. This is our livestock barn, by the way. One day, hopefully it will be full. It's in God's hands right now, and he's done very, very well at blessing us with this. We have big doors here, and then another set there, and another set there. And then we have the door to access the outside, which eventually our chicken coop will be out there. And that is to go into John's workshop, the wood shop / the concrete business. We have a planer that we got from my father because he is such a good man. And John goes to the lumber yard or the local Amish, whoever has wood at the time. John gets scrap wood, and I'll show you why. Sorry if you're getting dizzy. I have a piece of board around here somewhere. If you go to any lumber yard, they have this wood that they can't use. Now, I wouldn't recommend this to go through a planer. A lot of people don't have access. We definitely wouldn't have access to a planer if my dad didn't purchase it for us. We just don't have that type of income coming in right now. But what we do is we get all of this wood, and it comes in like this. This piece here, we would cut it with a chainsaw about here, and that would be for our fireplace. This right here, we would plane down, and we make that for our chicken bedding. So literally, we pay $10 for the corn, for the 50-pound bag of corn, and I think it's like $12 for a 50-pound bag of feed, which usually lasts these guys for about a month. Sometimes 2 weeks, depends on how cold it is and how much they're eating. And we don't pay for our bedding because we make it. So, and they're giving us about 6 to 7 eggs a day. So we're getting, I can't do my math right now, y'all. Probably about 3 to 4 dozen, I would say, a week. We have gotten to the point, because my family eats about 6 dozen. That's a lot of eggs, I know, but we have a family of 6. My stepson lives in Indiana, so he comes up every other weekend. Yeah. So we eat a lot of eggs, and we are just now getting to the point where we can sell some of them off. We're doing $2 a dozen. We have a list of people in there that are waiting for eggs. So what we do, just to make things seem a little bit fair, because right now it's just really close friends and families that's getting the eggs, we go down the list. If we have an extra dozen, we will call that person. So my parents got the last dozen, obviously, because they help a lot around here. I try to give them as much as we have extra so nothing goes to waste. But my parents got the last dozen, and then the next in line would be John's buddy that's close to us. Trying not to give away our location because my husband said not to. John's buddy that's close to us will get the next dozen that we have free, which I think we have 2 dozen in them that we could probably part with because we're sitting at about 5 dozen. Yeah, and aside from that, that's the girls. If you are contemplating on getting chickens, that I would say chickens would be by far the number one thing I would start with, because they are very simple. If you have access to make a chicken coop, there's lots of plans online. We don't have a chicken coop. That is what you see. And our girls are so happy in this mess. Obviously, there's nothing on the ground that can hurt them. It's just a bunch of wood slats everywhere that need to be picked up, and we'll clean that up this weekend. We do either yard cleaning days, or we're working on our root cellar this weekend and to clean up the barn. But definitely chickens are super easy. If you ever see like a pecking issue, Sue has some sores on him where they're getting him. You can see on his wing, maybe, if I can point it out. But for the most part, they leave him alone. If it gets red and it starts to bleed, they will really go after him. There's this blue ointment that you can get from Tractor Supply. That's what I do. I don't know about anybody else. That's what I have access to. I don't have access to a vet right now. That local vets do not make house calls, so I would have to take the chicken in. And the whole deal with the aviation issue, or the aviary, I don't know what they call it, but the vets don't really like chickens coming in. My girls are planning on going to school to be veterinaries for that simple fact that they want to be able to go around and make house calls. There are a lot of people local that do it that are not licensed. But that's just something that you can go right into Tractor Supply. You can get the blue stuff. I think it's $7 or $8 for a little spray can. You can spray it on there and it's fine. It does wonders. That's what we use. Thank God, I haven't came across any issues with my chickens. They haven't gotten any lung issues. I know that's common, but I think it's because they have such a big open space. And I think that's probably might be why I'm getting so many eggs, because they're happy. Happy chickens give you eggs. This is their chicken run. It's kind of covered up with snow. Usually they'll pack a little patch right here. If I can get the right area. This is our little house. It came with the property. Right now we're using it for storage, but one day it will be the office for the concrete business. And I hope I'm saying that right. My husband yells at me all the time. But anyway, that's what we're doing with that. And this is outside. You've seen some of it last week when I posted. But there is the grapevines. That's our vineyard, our little tiny baby vineyard. And I'm not sure if we're going to plot our garden out here in the open between those pine trees or back further. So, yeah, we have some apple trees going. Got the birds fed. This is kind of just my morning routine. I'll walk around the property and check and see if I have any deer tracks, bunny tracks. They're very important to watch, because if we do have issues with it, they could eat our vines and we won't get grapes. Or they can damage the apple trees and whatnot. So I like to come out and check it out. What I do to deter animals is I will give the boys a haircut, and I'll come out and sprinkle the hair along the roots. I don't know if I can switch this around. Let's see. This is what we have to work with. We moved here in October, so we didn't have time to prepare. We know nothing about grapes. I do know when we came and checked the property out in September, this thing was filled to the brim with these big, luscious purple grapes. I'm assuming they're Concords. We came back the next week after we had purchased, and they were gone. Every single grape was gone. We're assuming that the last owners came and plucked them before they left, which is fine. Totally fine. But it was either that or there was a lot of deer tracks around, and as you can tell, my hair method has worked because all you can see is my footprints. There's no animal tracks out here. Another thing that we do is, it may sound weird to some, but we have my husband and my son urinate on the trees. They don't come close to the grapes. the vineyards, just because I don't know how the ammonia or whatever in their urine is gonna, sounds disgusting, but it works, you guys. It really does. This is just something that we do. Sorry if I'm dragging on and on, but this is a tour, a little tour of our, I'm gonna call it a micro farm because all we have is 8 chickens right now. Most people are probably like,